Recently, I've been playing a lot of Skyblock, specifically Hypixel Skyblock, and in Skyblock, there's one stat called Magic Find, which increases how many rare items you find. And since, well, rare items is pretty much what Skyblock is all about, this stat is pretty much the most invaluable stat in the entire game. Now, along with this, I've actually had my hands on the best pet in the entire game for the better part of a year now, called the Golden Dragon. But it's been missing something. Gold. Lots and lots of gold, and I mean a lot of gold. More specifically, 100 million gold ingots. This is because of how one of its perks work. The Shining Scales perk, which grants you magic find and strength based on how much gold you collected. Now, I've already actually collected quite a lot of gold. Specifically, I've had over 46 million gold collected for the better part of 6 months now. But due to how it works, I've been missing out on 2 magic finds, which is just simply unacceptable. So when I heard that my guild was holding a gold mining competition, I saw it as the perfect opportunity to finally fix this grave error on my part. Now, this wasn't going to be easy since I basically had to double my entire gold collection, well, in just under a week, which, well, was gonna take up a little bit. Now, I did have some secret weapons up my sleeve that I was going to be taken advantage of, and well, you'll see what those are in a moment. At this point, it's still been quite a long time since I last mined gold, which meant I had a lot of things to catch up on since over these last 6 months. A lot of updates has happened, which has changed quite a few things. For one, the Mines of Devon, which is where you normally mine your gold, got a pretty major change, which meant that as a lobby progressed in time, the gold in the mines actually regenerated, which it didn't used to do. Which meant you had to take advantage of some completely different strats than what I did for my first 40 million gold collected. This also meant that I pretty much had to spend an entire stream just fixing my setup, which, well, let's go through those changes real quick right now. Before we get into these optimizations, I pretty much need to explain something. Since Hypixel doesn't use the same mining system, which I'm also going to go into a little bit more in depth on, but basically all you need to know for now is that mining speed is good, and so is mining fortune, and I'm just trying to get the most of these 2 stats and these optimizations. This also meant that I pretty much already had everything I really needed, since all the other grinds such as getting powder and getting a good drill I had already done before, since I was not really new to mining at all. This did mean that I already had some pretty decent armor too, with some jaded mineral armor and a Devon's helmet that was pretty much maxed out. But what I did have to work on was my equipment, which is what I started out with. My first equipment piece on the chopping block was my old Dragon Fade cloak, which up until this point I've been using for hobby mining, but since we're not doing this now, I would have to go for the ancient cloak, which gave an extra 10 mining fortune, making it a pretty much no-brain play. Now, the ancient cloak required a stack of an item called Wither Souls, which the only way to get these was to run around in the, well, Crimson Isles and kill withers, which I did for about 15 minutes, and then I had enough. The only thing left after crafting the ancient cloak was to put glistening on it, since it's the reforge that grants the most mining fortune. So this is an extra 8 mining fortune compared to my Dragonflake cloak, specifically for gold mining, so that's nice. The next equipment piece I was looking at getting was the Glowstone Gauntlet, since it gave an extra 7 mining fortune compared to what I already had. The only problem with this was I actually did have a Vanquish Glowstone Gauntlet, but I was using it for something called Blaze Slayer, which I'll get into in a different video probably. But basically what that meant is that I had to find a replacement for the one I was using, since I didn't just want to not be able to do Blaze Slayer all of a sudden. After a little bit of browsing on the auction house, I ended up settling on this Vanquish Glowstone Gauntlet, which had Vitality and Veteran at a pretty decent level without being too ludicrously expensive. Now, this is not something I'm going to dwell on too hard, since it doesn't really matter for what we are working on right now, but basically what this meant is that I had my equipment pretty much sorted. My next goal, and pretty much the best thing I could spend my money on at this point, was an item called the Quick Claw, which basically meant that I could get an extra 50 mining fortune and 50 mining speed for not that much money by just giving it to my pet, which, you know, was pretty much a no-brainer. At this point, I did end up checking the market though, and kind of saw that Quick Claws was pretty expensive, which wasn't quite optimal. So I ended up actually spending over an hour, I think pretty much the rest of the stream, just running nucleus runs, which is where you get the Quick Claw from, hoping that I could drop it myself. But since RNG wasn't really on my side at this point, I ended up just having to buy it off the auction house. After respecing my Heart of the Mountain tree to optimize for gold mining, I ended up being just shy of 1800 mining fortune, which I couldn't really take, so I ended up recomming my jaded mineral armor and the ancient cloak that I got earlier, which meant I was just over 1800 mining fortune, which I ended up sticking with for the end of the contest. Now, as I mentioned before briefly, Hypixel Skyblock doesn't use vanilla mining, as you can probably tell by the fact that I'm using a piece of prismarine disguised as a drill to mine with. Now, all I really need to know is that there's something called mining speed and mining fortune, which the mining speed pretty much makes sense. The higher mining speed, the faster you can mine blocks, and the higher mining fortune, well, the more drops you get from those blocks. Now, one thing to note about mining speed specifically is that how Minecraft works, every blocks kind of break on a tick basis, which you don't really need to know the specifics of it. What you more or less just need to know is that there's something called a soft cap. Now, this soft cap basically means that once you reach a certain amount of mining speed, you can't mine blocks faster. Well, until you can do this. Yeah, basically, as you can see here, until you get to a certain amount of mining speed, you're not going to be mining any faster, but once you cross that threshold, you can instantly break any gold you're looking at. And due to me having a blue goblin omelet on my drill, as well as having a pretty good setup, and mining down and taking advantage of Bell's 15% stat boosts, yeah, I'm able to do that, which, as you can imagine, rakes in quite a lot of gold power, and is pretty much the main reason I even had any chance in this competition at all. Because, well, this is not really a secret, as pretty much every proficient gold miner knows this trick, and, well, I had one big enemy that I want to introduce to you all. Yeah, and his name was Raz1, this guy. While he might not look too impressive with his pretty low skyblock level, yeah, he has over 3 billion gold to mine, making him the second best gold miner in the entire world, which meant, well, this was going to be pretty hard, especially since he had already collected 61 million gold before I'd even begun on the first day. Yeah, this was not looking very doable. And, well, the thing is, I didn't have to beat him. I just had to get more lucky, because the thing about this competition was, it wasn't just the guy who mined the most gold who won, it was the guy who mined the most gold who got the most tickets, but those tickets were just entered in a raffle, which means if I could just mine a pretty good amount of gold, I had a pretty good chance of still beating him, even though I might not be able to compete with him. So that was basically my plan. Do my best, and then get lucky. And well, for the next 3-4 days of my life, I didn't really do much, but just sat and mined gold hours and hours on end. After the end of the 6 days, I ended up actually collecting over 60 million gold, which actually went quite a bit over what I wanted to do, since I only really went to go to 100 million gold, but I actually ended up going a little bit over that, which was nice. it was mainly just because I was kind of competing with Mold, who was competing for second place as well. I ended up losing barely. Well, not really barely. I ended up losing by 8 mil collection, which is about an hour and a half worth of mining. Simply because I didn't realize the competition ended so soon, and yeah, it was just a little bit unfortunate. But at the end of the day, I ended up coming in third place overall, so I'm not too mad about that. Yeah, I had no chance against Raz though. His collection was literally at 500 million, 516 million gold collected in like less than a week, which is mental. Yeah, I don't know how he did that, but he did. It's absolutely insane. But the good news is RNG was on my side this time. I actually ended up getting the second place prize right after a guy who actually conducted even less gold than me, who ended up winning first place. But yeah, I ended up getting second place in the competition overall, which was fantastic. Funnily enough, Raz somehow didn't even win a prize, even though there was like 5 winners, which is absolutely insane to me, considering he literally like collected 10 times more gold than anyone else. But yeah, hey, RNG is a bitch, you know? Yeah, I ended up just winning over 44 million coins, which was pretty nice. Nothing too insane, but yeah, overall I actually ended up earning a lot more money than that though, because I ended up selling all my gold as well, which means I probably earned around 200 to 300 million coins throughout this entire grind, which was pretty cool. This also means now that I have the extra magic find. I'm no longer lagging in the magic find department, on this front at least. I do have a couple other things. Stay tuned for more videos. But yeah, otherwise, yeah, this is pretty much the end of the story. I will just quickly like go over, if anyone's interested, how to actually insta-mine gold. Kind of what the setup you need, what the stats are you need, if you plan on maybe doing this yourself. It is a pretty good way of making money, but yeah. Otherwise, if you don't really care and you just wanted to see how I won this competition against the number 2 gold miner in the world, yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a comment, make sure to subscribe, and otherwise I'll see you in the next video. Bye! Now, if you want to do this yourself, there's a couple ways you can do it. One way is just to get a pretty maxed out setup, like I have with everything jaded, and you know, obviously you gotta be in magma fields, but make sure you're actually in the magma fields where it says heat on the right side here, because if it doesn't, you will not get the bal buff. In my case, you can see my mining speed goes from 5,800 to 6,700 as soon as I enter the actual magma fields. Yeah, this is pretty much all you really need to do. What you just kind of need to make sure of is whenever you pop your mining speed boost, that you get over 36,000 mining speed. In my case, I do that without having to do anything fancy. Now, if you're missing a little bit of mining speed, that you might not have as good of a setup, a thing you can do is you can actually take more Divine Armor, and then you can swap to your Divine Armor whenever right before you want to pop your mining speed boost. Pop your mining speed boost, hopefully get over 36,000, then swap back to your mineral armor, so you get the mineral armor ability, and then just mine instant break again. If you still can't get like 36,000 mining speed, make sure you have an actual blue cheese goblin omelet, make sure you're in the magma fields with your bell pit, and then otherwise you just gotta work on your setup. That could be grinding some more powder. I don't quite have my powder tree maxed out. As you can see, my mining speed too isn't quite maxed out, but pretty much everything else is. So yeah, you do need a pretty solid setup. But yeah, otherwise that's pretty much just it. Make sure that you are actually mining where it's heated. In this case, someone has set up this lobby, but only in the magma fields, which means they are not getting the 15% boost. They actually need to go down one more layer. But yeah, just make sure you have that, and then basically you just run around mining as you saw me do. And then just, yeah, that's what you do. Whenever you don't have a mining speed boost, you just kind of go like this. Yeah, hold forward, look up. Make sure you have good mining speed. In my case, also another tip, if you don't have the Golden Goblin BCR maxed out, which I already do, but if you don't, a good tip and something I did myself is you can actually forgo Sky Mole and Powder Buff, since they don't do anything for this method, and get Luck of the Cave and Goblin Killer. Goblin Killer is not really necessary, but it's Luck of the Cave boosts the amount of goblins you get. This includes golden goblins and diamond goblins, which is something I took advantage of during a lot of my grind to just kind of boost my golden goblin beast area and get a little bit of extra powder and stuff like that. It's quite nice. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't really have much else to say. You can't really level pets using this method since the ball pit is an absolute must. It is pretty much impossible to get enough mining speed without the ball pit. Yeah. Other than that, yeah, I don't really have much else to say. Try to mine out like the entire lobby so you can actually go in like a circle. Try not to share lobbies with other people, since the more people that are in a lobby, the more gold is going to be kind of be emptied out. It means you're going to be mining less blocks per like cycle and per mining speed boost and stuff like that. And yeah, just kind of make sure to keep mining in an area where there's like unmined gold, because you have the mineral armor, which does need pretty optimal conditions to actually fully take advantage of. But yeah, that's all what I really have for you today. If you want to see me do more mining content stuff and just general skyblock stuff, I am streaming quite regularly. The past week or so, it has been every other day. I'm going to try to keep that up. Otherwise, yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, and like and subscribe. I'm currently working on another Magic Find related video involving the Necron's ladder, so stay tuned for that. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Bye!